Going on. Yeah, claro di guarda flacco, Devo spice, dropping beats you can't resist. From fandom and jokes to hip-hop play, he's rocking the stage in his geeky way. The Mentos charts and conventions too. He's the funny music master with rhymes so true. From sudden death roots to folk so star, Devo spice is here and he's raising the bar.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with the man who is living the life that I wanted when I was a kid, listening to Dr. Demento on the radio Sunday nights with my finger on the pause button because record was already pressed, waiting for my favorite song to come on. I wanted a song on Dr. Demento. I never got it done. This man, Devo Spice, has done it a dozen times at least.
I've had 18 songs on the year-end countdown on the Funny 25, so more than that have been played. I never tallied up how many songs of mine he's actually played. I should do that at some point.
It's amazing, and you should, because did you record the first song he ever played for you? Do you have the recording of when it hit the air? I knew it.
I have the record pressing of the actual radio. Because back in the 90s, when the show was pressed on vinyl to send to the radio station, because that's how it was syndicated, I couldn't hear the show, so I sent him the song. He played it. It was a song called On Board, and then like a few weeks later I get this record in the mail and with no letter or anything attached to it, and I'm like, what am I doing with this? What am I supposed to do? Because it came with the agreement that the program director at the radio station had to sign or something like that. And I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing with this? And at some point I realized, like, oh, he's just sending me a copy of the show so I could hear it. So I greatly appreciated that.
That is phenomenal. You've blown me out of the water within the first couple of minutes of this interview. We should point out your stage name is Devo Spice. Your real name is Tom Rockwell, which is interesting because you kind of had to go into music at that point with the last name like that.
It's yeah.
And art for rapping.
I am. Rap was the first style of music that I ever really liked. When I was a kid, I was not into the pop music. I wasn't into the rock. I wasn't into the metal. I'm into metal now. I love metal now. But when I was a kid, I hated it. And I remember, like, I was probably about 10 years old. I'm in my basement, and one of my friends had told me to listen to this New York radio station, and I put it on, and I remember I was roller skating in my basement because at the time, so we had a cement floor, and I'm just roller skating around, and some song by Grandmaster Flash came on the radio, and he just started rapping, and he was going, and he never seemed to be taking a breath, and he just kept doing this and over and over and over, and I'm sitting here like transfixed, staring at this boombox, and I'm like, what the hell's happening? I'm like, I like this, and from there I just started seeking it out, and being the wise ass that I am, when I started writing my own rhymes, I was like, I'm going to be funny because that'll be fun,
There's something in all of us, and Weird Al was not my first weird song. I think even before that, I was listening to K-Tel Records.
Mine either.
You can't roller skate in a buffalo herd. If somebody was doing something different, even including some Spike Jones stuff that would appear on the radio every once in a while, I was into the comedy part full on. And I was just wondering, did you have, if we have similar tastes in, like, do you remember some of the big names from back in the day that were on Demento or a K-Tel record that, like, just if they're on or you find it, you still have to play it?
Well, the thing is, I couldn't really hear the show regularly until like late college was when I finally first started hearing the show. The first time I ever heard the show was summer of 1990, was between my junior and senior year of high school. And I spent 6 weeks in Rhode Island at a pre-college art program at Rhode Island School of Design at RISD. And there was a station in Rhode Island that carried the show. So while I was away at RISD, I was able to hear the show. That was the first time I actually heard the show. And then after that, it wasn't until probably 3 or 4 years later when I grew up in Connecticut. There was a station across Long Island Sound on Long Island that I could just barely pick up. and I found out I could pick that one up. And then a few years later, there was a station in Syracuse, and I lived in Rochester at the time because that's where I went to college. So that's when I started listening to the show. But when I was a kid, I was always into the weird music, funny music. I used to just go around school singing songs that nowadays would get kids expelled.
Sure.
Blowing up the school wasn't a real thing when I was a kid. Go figure. So we used to joke about it. But like, I remember like my father played me like Beep Beep by the Playmates when I was a kid, and I lost it. I thought that was amazing. And the other big one was the Ballad of New Orleans. I don't remember who sings that one. But that one
No, I know
was,
it.
yeah, it's in 1859. We took a little trip, that one.
Yep. All right. Yes, that one. Yes.
And there's really only one verse in that song that's supposed to be funny, but I latched onto it. And then later, my mother was going through some of her old stuff, and she found one of her old Alan Sherman records, and she came. She's like, "Tom, you got to listen to this." And she puts it on, and it was his 5th album for Swingin' Livers Only, and the first song is "Grow Mrs. Goldfarb," and the song starts and it's just "Grow Mrs. Goldfarb, fatter, fatter," and I lost it. I literally fell off the couch onto the floor laughing at this song.
Didn't realize people could do that with music. Moment.
And that was when I realized, I'm like, holy crap, they actually release albums of this type of music, and I'm like, I like this,
Yep.
And I really latched onto it. I discovered Weird Al because my cousins lived with me when I was a kid, and they were big into MTV and music videos and stuff. And one of my cousins found a UHF station that was somewhere in the 60s. I can't promise it was U62, but it was somewhere in the 60s. Was like trying to be an MTV competitor. So it was a UHF station playing music videos. And she comes running in one day and she's like, "Tom, you got to hear this song. Come on out." And I go out on the back porch because that was the only place we could pull in this station. And the video for Ricky is playing on this UHF station. So, and I loved it because I was a big fan of I Love Lucy, and I had known the original song, and I'm like, this is great. This is fantastic. So I kind of paid attention to who it was when the credits came up. And that was when I first heard Weird Al. So like the following year, the first time I heard Eat It, I was getting my hair cut. I'm at some salon somewhere, because wherever my mother took me, and I hear Eat It come on the radio, and I'm like, Eat It? I'm like, who did this? And the woman cutting my hair was like, I think his name is Weird Al something. I'm like, oh yeah, that guy. Okay.
I heard of him. Yeah.
So then it just kind of snowballed from there.
I have. It's amazing how many of these things that just kind of come and stick to us, and then even pop culture. One thing I noticed, and correct me if I'm wrong or if I'm off base in here, but your some of your earlier work, especially, I noticed kind of has a Will Smith type flow in storytelling. So like parents just don't understand. It's a fun story, and I'm telling a funny thing. You seem to have touched on that in some of the stuff I've listened to. Am I accurate on that, or?
Yeah, I mean, I was a Will Smith fan, or Fresh Prince, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. I have their first couple of albums on vinyl. I think I still have them right there, actually. And I liked their stuff, and I liked that they were also funny, not Weird Al levels funny, but they were funny. And so when I started writing my own music, I was trying to be funny, and I knew that telling a story was one way to do that. And what I found was that when I wrote a song that told a story, it tended to be a lot longer than other songs. So it just kind of happened that way, which I kind of used to my advantage a few years ago when I did the song about Stranger Things, because I basically just retold season 1, as a rap song. But because it was the song was intended to sound like it came out in 1983 when Stranger Things season 1 took place.
Right.
And rap songs back then were 8 or 9 minutes long, like standard. So I just latched onto that and, made this 8-minute song that sounds like a 1983 rap song about Stranger Things.
Nice. I didn't get to listen to that yet. We've all of us, Zaz and Josh and I, we've dug in, and I've been listening since I found you on Instagram, which we should probably throw that up on the screen right now and get people used to seeing how they could find you if they're not here for you already. Follow Devo Spice on Instagram, and
I'm Devo Spice
see a lot
pretty much everywhere, so I'm easy to find.
Yeah, there's only one. There's only one. Before you were Devo Spice, though, you were in a band or a project. I have the note right up here. I should have it. Sudden Death. Sorry.
Sudden Death.
Can you tell me about Sudden Death? How that came about and how you evolved through there?
Yeah, when I was 13, I had wanted to start a rap group because at the time there weren't a whole lot of solo rap artists. I think Curtis Blow was like the only big solo rap artist at the time. And everyone else was like a group, you know, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five and the Treacherous Three,
Right.
and, you know, all of them. And so I was like, all right, I need my friends to get involved with this. So literally one day on the bus on the way home, I leaned over to my friends Dave and Scott, who were sitting in the chair with me. I'm like, hey, you want to form a rap group? And they were like, yeah, sure, let's form a rap group. I'm like, all right, cool, we're a rap group. And that's how it started.
I started a metal band the same exact way.
And I ended up doing almost all the work because those guys really weren't that into it. But we started out, we were trying to come up with a name, and we were brainstorming names one day, and
Let me guess.
Dave.
Was it a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie?
No, it wasn't. It is a movie. There's another movie from 1977 called Sudden Death that Dave read in the. I've never seen it. I don't know anything about it other than it's from 1977. And so Dave read that in the TV guide and he was like, hey, how about Sudden Death? And Scott was like, yeah, I like that. I like the sound of that. And I'm like, no, that doesn't sound like a comedy rap group at all. And they were like, but I was outvoted at the time. So we stuck with it. I was like, all right, we'll keep it. Yeah, we'll keep it until we come up with something better. And we never did. And then I made the foolish mistake of like, when we had our first song played on the Dr. Demento show, you know, I got the record and I'm like, well, everybody knows us as Sudden Death now. I guess I'm stuck with the name. And I kept it for way too long. I didn't drop the name until 2008. So
that's a long time.
Yeah.
But hey, you know, we all know now that was you with some friends, but you're the core. How about that?
Yeah, I did like 90%, 95% of the work, you know, all throughout. I just called on those guys as needed for background vocals and co-vocals and stuff. And then once high school came, we brought in a few more people and we just kind of rotated around with, you know, various roles in the group.
You still do collaborations, I've seen.
I do, yes, because
yeah.
I am spread way too thin. I do way too much, and I do not have time to do stuff. So, like, as much stuff as I can offshore to other people, I will. Like, I'm trying to do that with the music now because other people are better at music than I am. So I'm like, just leave the music to the musicians. Let me focus on the writing and the rapping, and I'll let musicians handle the music, you know? So I'm trying to do more of that.
So does this play into the thefump.com or are these, I know, you know, a lot of these musicians and artists. Do you then reach through that pool for people like, I know that guy is really good at doing a harp and I need a harp solo.
Yep.
Is that part of what the Thump is? Is it more of a social organization too?
Yeah. And that's one of the things I absolutely love about the Thump is that, like, I'd be like, okay, I need a female vocalist. Carrie, can you do this? You know, I'm like, I need another guy who can rap. Luke, I need a rapper. You know, I need someone who can actually sing. Chris, Shoebox, can you know? And like, it's always like, you know, I love working with these guys. They're great collaborators. They toss out, you know, fantastic ideas when called for, and like, there's very little ego involved. So like Luke, especially, like when I asked him for stuff, he invariably sends me what I asked for and then like 5 minutes of improv stuff, extra stuff that I may or may not use in the song. And sometimes I use it and sometimes I don't. And it's never like I wish Devo would have used that thing. You know, there's none of that with these guys. It's great. So it's a real collaborative process. And it's like whenever we need, you know, another person to help out with the song, my latest song is an Insane Clown Posse parody, and there's 2 rappers there. And when Luke found out I was doing an Insane Clown Posse parody, he literally he had access to the spreadsheet we were working on. This was for the Dr. Demento tribute. He added featuring Luke Ski because I said so, and I was like, okay, sure. I mean, I need another vocalist on the song anyway. Might as well be Luke. Sure.
Hey, sometimes it writes itself in other ways.
Yeah.
That's the great thing. Well, that's the great thing about music partnership. You don't know what you're going to get at the end. Nothing is foregone conclusion.
Yeah.
So when we start that's what I love about the process of writing and creating, especially with others. You don't know where it's going to be. Nothing.
Yeah,
One
Shoebox and
comment.
Shoebox of Worm Quartet and I have done a couple of songs where we collaborated musically, and we both kind of like how this works because it never goes in the direction either of us is expecting, and it usually works out better. And the way it worked was like I did the beat and then Shoebox added music to it, or like I'll do a beat and a bass line and then Shoebox will add more music to it, and we kind of throw the file back and forth. It helps that we use the same MIDI sequencer software, so we can just send the files back and forth. And we've done this a couple times, and we've talked about doing it more. And I think we're probably going to at some point.
I hope you do. When you find a collaboration that works and just clicks without all the extra work, it's that's kind of how this show was evolved. We got along on a lot of levels. We argue about a lot of things, but it's nice when you have the flow. You know how to talk to each other and you get where you want. I want to get quick back to the collaborations. One person you actually have on the FUMP, and we should explain the FUMP is the Funny Music Project, the FUMP.com. We had the URL up. Can you tell people real quick before I go further on somebody else, what is the FUMP? How do people get involved, and what can they expect if they go there?
So the FUMP is the Funny Music Project. We post 2 new comedy songs every week, at least. Sometimes there's a third. One on Tuesday, one on Friday, occasionally one on Sunday. And they're available as a free download. And so just download them. They're Creative Commons. So if you want to share them with a friend, feel free. We're not going to sue you for sharing
that's nice.
the files. And we launched it in January of 2007. It's based on, do you know who Jonathan Colton is?
I know the name.
Yeah, he's a musician. And back in 2006, he did a thing called Thing a Week, where he wrote and released a song a week as a Creative Commons song, and built a huge following in the process. And one of our mutual friends was like, maybe if a bunch of us got together, we could release a song a week. Like maybe 8 of us together can equal one Jonathan Colton. And that's how it started. And we've been releasing 2 songs a week every week since January of 2007. We just and every 2 months we put out a compilation album. We just released volume 112.
That's amazing. It's amazing. It's fantastic. And I saw a video of yours where you talked about how sometimes you have to fight with Spotify. Like people still don't understand what comedy is or why it's in a music format. Sometimes it's amazing.
Comedy is not a genre. If you ask the industry, comedy is a subgenre of spoken word, meaning musical comedians have no genre to go under. So touchy subject.
It's ridiculous.
It's so stupid. It is so stupid.
I don't get it. As somebody who grew up loving music and who grew up loving comedy and who grew up loving comedy music, I love George Carlin. I also love Frank Zappa. Is Frank Zappa a comedy or serious composition that is funny? Like I just
Frank Zappa is one of those guys who does both. He does very serious compositions and he does comedy. And in fact, he released an album, I think it was a live album, called Does Humor Belong in Music, I think.
Yes.
Or does the reason he asked that question was because a lot of his fans didn't like it when he got silly and he got funny. And so there was this divide even among the Frank Zappa loyalists. Now, Frank Zappa is one of those artists who I have the utmost respect for as a musician and as an artist, and I just don't care to listen to his stuff. I can't get into it,
There is a lot of stuff that is not accessible in the Zappa library for a lot of people. I can suggest like Thingfish and Joe's Garage as great albums to start with, and then they get very serious and very experimental. I don't know about experimental at the end, but like the concepts and ideas at the beginning. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff in Frank Zappa that is a 40-minute guitar solo.
Yeah, exactly.
You better like jazz, and you better like his style, and there's a lot to it. But yeah, it's so easy to just put people.
But I mean, I've seen videos of him performing, and he is like a phenomenal musician. And I listen to what he does, and I'm like one of the songs I like by him is "Dancing Fool," and there's a part in the middle of that song that I have no idea what the hell time signature it's in. It's like it's a disco song. It's just "Dancing Fool," and then all of a sudden he goes, "I may be totally wrong, but I'm a." Like, I have I may be totally wrong, but I'm like, what the hell time signature is that? And he did that intentionally because talking about how he has no rhythm and that he can't dance. But like musically, the entire band of what, like 11 people are all playing in time with that little thing. And I'm like, that's amazing. That is like incredible musicianship.
It's and to be able to write it down, Steve Vai had to basically transcribe it because Frank couldn't even put it on paper.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, like some of this stuff was so unconventional. And when I'm not I'm a Frank Zappa fan, not on the level of a lot of other people, but what I like to describe him as is he's doing stuff that sounds wrong, but is absolutely musically and mathematically correct. But your brain isn't used to it being that complex. And if you're not into it, you're not into it. Yeah, you can't convince somebody to like Rush if they hate Geddy Lee's vocals. You can't convince somebody like Frank Zappa if they're not into that style of music. So it is what it is. Everybody has different styles, and that's what's great about the world.
Did you lose me? My internet connection sucks.
You froze real quick, and you're back, and that's why I kept talking.
Okay, good.
Don't worry. It was just that they going on 20-minute rant about how great Geddy Lee was, so you didn't miss anything.
He is pretty good.
No, my entire development has filed complaints with the FCC because our internet connection is so bad. So
I would have to move. I have a friend
We
who
might.
lives further away, and he's like, it's not great. I'm like, move. He's just, I'll live in the middle of a city if I have to. Let me get back on track here. We got deep into Dr. Demento, and I'm sorry, we got deep into Frank Zappa, Dr. Demento, and I didn't get on the guest that we've already had on a show who is on the Fump, and I didn't realize until today, Bonnie Gordon.
Bonnie, yeah.
Bonnie's amazing. I will say, I think we had a reason to bring her up last week because she does magician. She works at the Magic Castle, or has, and we had a magician on, so her name came up again. Like, she is everywhere, and she's just an amazing person. But how did you first start interacting with Bonnie, and really anybody else there? Like, how do you typically meet people to work with?
I don't remember how Bonnie and Xander. I assume you talked about the Library Bards, their collaboration project.
I do.
Bonnie and Xander. Okay. I know it was at Fump Fest. We run a funny music convention called Fump Fest. I want to say it was 2016 when they showed up to either perform or just attend, and it was like trial by fire for them because they didn't know what they were getting into with us. With some of the really, really bizarre acts that we were putting on stage. I think Bonnie somehow got connected with Luke Ski, and then from there got them involved in the Fump. Honestly, I don't remember how that whole thing started, but Bonnie is phenomenal. She's a great friend. I just saw her like last week or 2 weeks ago at a sci-fi convention here in New Jersey because she was part of one of the Star Trek conventions.
I always by the way, I have to bring up Star Trek at least once per episode apparently, and you did it for me, so thank you very much. Bonnie's the voice of the ship's computer. Yep,
on
she's
Prodigy.
The
protostar.
I like to say that, hey, she is the only other person to have ever done the ship of a Federation ship on Star Trek after Majel Roddenberry. Like, I don't know how true that is, but in my world, like series to series, she's the first person to do it besides Roddenberry. So so there's your reference, guys. The one thing I did want to mention, you have on your YouTube channel a video of you performing a live show at, I guess this was an interesting lineup of bands. You opened for Guar.
I did not open for Guar. I opened for Green Jelly.
Or sorry, no, Green Jelly. I'm like, yeah, I have Guar on the head because they're just now in the news. But you opened for Green Jelly.
I would love to open for Guar. I've never opened for Guar.
I would open for Guar, but I would not wear clean clothes to a Guar show. So how did you get involved in doing a Green Jelly show and some of the other acts? We clicked through. That's a video worth watching, by the way. There is some fun stuff in that video. I highly
recommend live video from the from the Sound Guys video.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a great video. Yeah, that's the entire concert. It's me. It's Purple Pam. I forget the name of her band, Love and Murder, and I think there was another band, Scarlet King. Yeah, Scarlet King, and then Green Jello. And my God, what a great. Did you lose me again? No, okay.
No, I'm replaying this video in my head. I want to encourage anybody watching this.
The best thing
video.
about that, the best thing about that video is the sound guy, and this was that sound guy's first. I've performed at that venue many times. This was that particular sound guy's first experience with me, and so he had he's got the camera pointed at this stage, and he's also got a selfie cam pointed on him, so he's picture in picture. Watching my set and watching his reaction was the best, because like just watching him laugh, as I was doing my bits and stuff, it was fantastic.
I enjoyed. I loved your bet. I loved watching people walking their own equipment on and off the stage and wondering what the hell was going to happen next. I like watching how Green Jello did their show with the inflatables. Everything about that.
Yeah, he was. The sound guy was panicking during the setup because, like, he told me, he's like, I was like, I only have 32 inputs up there. They told me I'm going to need more than that. I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Share the mic, guys. Share. Oh man. So that show, I mean, that just looks like an amazingly good time to me.
That was great. Yeah,
I'm so glad you kept it. You put it up. A lot of people would have been like, I don't know, it's not the greatest quality, and you're like, this is amazing, and I agree. I'm just sad that it doesn't have 1 million views, because this is what you want to watch with your friends while having a beer. This entire video is just how you relax with buddies. Do you have any other like really good like interaction stories, even say with Green Jelly? I keep saying jelly. I know it's Jello. It's spelled jelly.
Well, it's Y with an umlaut, which is apparently pronounced O. So Green Jello,
and not copyright infringible.
Not copyright infringement. But what I was most impressed with Green Jello is they have that URL, JELLY with the umlaut in the URL.com. So you have to figure out how to type that into your browser. So, but anyway, I don't have any interesting stories with Green Jello, but I have an interesting story with Weird Al. Yeah, I have a story with Weird Al. So back in the 90s, when I was in college, there was back in my day, there was a thing called Usenet, news groups, where people basically, basically for the youngins out there, it was like an early version of Reddit. There were topics for everything. And I was active on the Weird Al group, the Dr. Demento group, the rap group, and a couple others, the horror group. And somebody in the Weird Al group decided, like, hey, there's a bunch of musicians on this group. Why don't we make a Weird Al tribute album where we just get together and put out this album? So we did, and I actually did the cover art for it. I did the painting for the cover, and I did a cover of Happy Birthday, which is an original Weird Al song from his first album. And I made it into a Wu-Tang Clan sounding hip hop song as best I could in 1997, whenever this was. And Al got a copy of the album, and I heard back through the grapevine that he heard my song and liked it. So fast forward to 1998, there's a Weird Al fan convention called AlCon, where 300 fans got together. Al's drummer, John Bermuda Schwartz, was the guest of honor. And there's video of this on YouTube if you look for it. Al showed up and surprised everybody, including the organizers of the event. Nobody knew he was there, not security for the hotel. Nobody knew he was there. And so he shows up, and as the day is going on, we all got autographs and everything. And we were during one of the events, I happened to look over, and he was sitting right next to me. And I was like, hey, Al, can I borrow you for like 30 seconds to just do a fake interview talking about how much you hated my cover of Happy Birthday? And he was like, sure. So I got a hair in my mouth. So we went out to the hallway, and I filmed him with my camcorder, and he's like, hi, this is Weird Al. I have heard Sudden Death's version of Happy Birthday. And, I don't like to say anything bad about anyone, but it just sucks. In fact, it's the worst piece of crap I've ever heard. And then, in fact, this interview's over, and then he goes like this and covers the camera. That's beautiful. It was great. So I used that video whenever I performed my version of Happy Birthday going forward to introduce the song. So then,
as you should.
Fast forward to 2002, the third AlCon convention happened, and this time Al was a guest. He wasn't performing. He was just a guest. He was going to give a talk and then sign autographs. And so I was there. I was performing, and I was selling some CDs and stuff. and I was waiting for the line to die down because I didn't want to leave my merch table for too long. So when the line died down, I went and got in line, and in my head, I'm fully preparing, like, "Hi, this is Tom. I'm Tom Rockwell. Remember me? Sudden Death. I did the cover. A Happy Birthday." Just fully expecting to have to remind him about everything. And as I walk up to him, the person in front of me steps aside. He looks at me and he goes, "Hi, Tom," and it threw me completely. And I just went, "Hi, Al." So
That's amazing.
it was fun.
I have an Al interaction story myself. I've never met the man, but I have some level of connection to him. I think Josh can show the real quick how I'm connected to Al. I don't know if you want to. I was on Pawn Stars and I sold the Weird Al autobiography. And apparently,
Oh, wow.
this was shown, this clip of me on the show was shown at the beginning of many concerts that year, none of which I got to go to. So I'm not sure that actually happened, but I had heard. But I've also heard that the book is still at the Pawn Stars store because they bought it for way too much. And nobody would buy it for that after it aired. And everybody found theirs in their old drawers and, like with their old school books. Like, oh, it's not that rare after all. It's still
that's one thing that I never bought, and I'm still kind of kicking myself that I never got it, because I remember seeing it in a store when I was a kid, and I picked it up and I flipped through. I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool, and then I put it down and walked away, and I never bought it. And I'm like, I'm kicking myself for not having bought that.
It is a fun piece of memorabilia. I'm not sad I sold it, but also my friend gave it to me. When we were kids, he knew it. We would look at his book. It was his book, and then we became adults. We're in our 40s. He's like, "Do you want this? I'm going to throw it away if you don't." And I'm like, "I'll take it." And then a couple years later, I found out it was actually worth something, and I wanted to get myself on TV. So I just called up the producers. I'm like, "I got this thing for sale. Can I be on your show?" And that turned out to be yes. So back to you. This show is an interview about you, but I wanted to know, like, when you were getting started, you were doing a lot of your own work, including, I guess, mailing out cassette tapes, doing the whole personal PR, promotion, everything.
Oh yeah.
What did you learn at that point in your life to make things work, and what did you avoid doing? What were some like early lessons of self-promotion of your own music?
I learned that I
It's
suck
different
at
now.
self-promotion. And that's something that has not changed. I still suck at promotion and marketing and stuff. And I have spent thousands of dollars literally on marketing programs. And like, I know the theories, I know the techniques. They do not work for me. I don't know why. They work for other people. They just don't work for me. So I'm at the point now where it's like, I've kind of given up on marketing. I'm just going to put my stuff out there and kind of hope for the best. And when I have a little bit of money, I'm going to hire somebody to do it for me. So, and let them figure it out.
Hey, know what you're good at, know what you need help with, and that's how like, as long as you keep working, eventually, hopefully, one can help pay for the other, and you get there. I know that feeling really well, actually. So, hey, when was the first time you met Dr. Demento?
I met him in 1999. We had just moved to New Jersey, and I found out he was doing a live appearance at a small venue in New York State, just across the New Jersey border, technically upstate, but not that far outside of New York City.
Right.
I don't remember the name of the place, but he was there doing his Festival of Dementia, and I emailed him and I was like, I'm going to be there. It'd be great to finally meet you in person. And he was like, "Hey, do you want to perform South Park Junkie during my show?" And I was like, "Sure, okay." So I sent him the instrumental, and actually no, I gave it to him like on CD when I showed up, and he called me up on stage, and it was, this was not a venue designed for a rap act. So I'm literally standing behind a podium with like a microphone stuck, here, and I'm just rapping South Park Junkie, which was my hit song at the time, the year before. And it was great. So that was my first time meeting him.
How did it feel? I mean, you didn't grow up, established. You didn't grow up listening to it like I did, but like, obviously, he's a kingmaker of comedy too. Yeah,
I mean, when I was a kid, I discovered Dr. Demento because my mother one Christmas was walking around the house singing "I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas," and nobody else in the family believed her when she told us that was a real song that she remembered hearing on the radio. We were like, no, that can't possibly be her. Like all indignant, like marched us to the mall. And it happened to be the year that Dr. Demento's box set came out. And we didn't know it was a box set at the time, but she found volume 6 Christmas on cassette. And it had I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas on it. And I mentioned this in the song Halls of Dementia, that, you know, we never doubted my mother again after that. But then from there, we bought the entire box set, which I have right there still. And that was how I learned about who Dr. Demento was. And that was when I joined the Demento Society and stuff. But, you know, that was 5 or 6 years before I was ever able to hear the show.
Oh, heartbreaking. Sorry. I had a crappy radio signal too, but at least I did get to listen. And the interesting thing was, and I want to talk to you about your personal life, and I'll open it up with mine. When I met my wife originally, we sat down and we were talking about music, and I said, well, she used to listen to Dr. Demento, and she'd be like, Fish Heads? I was like, yeah, did you listen to Dr. Demento too? And that's when I knew I had the right woman. Does your family life encompass your music where you're like, hey, we're the same people in a lot of these ways?
I mean, not anymore, but when my wife and I first started dating, you know, like the first time I was in her dorm room, I looked at her cassette collection and she had a half a dozen Weird Al cassettes there. And I was like, all right. And I think she had one of the Dr. Demento compilations too. I don't remember. But so that was kind of, you know, something over early on. She has never liked my music. So she still doesn't like my music.
At least she's honest.
She has told me, yeah, she has told me she likes the songs where I don't rap so much. I mean, well, part of the thing is my wife is hearing impaired, and hip hop has a lot of bass, and the bass tends to hurt her ears. So, you know, I can understand that.
Fair enough. But at least she's honest. I mean, instead of, yeah, no, I like that. That's good. This is what, like, my wife is also brutally honest. I don't like that. Why do you keep doing that?
Well, it's funny. I've gotten into filmmaking recently, and I showed my wife one of my short films, and her reaction was, that wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be. You know, that was her honest reaction.
You need that in your life. You absolutely need someone in your life that like, well, like, this is what I think. That, sorry if it doesn't make you happy, but it's the honest truth. You wrote a song, and I had to ask you this. You wrote a song in your sudden death days called Getting Old Sucks. And unfortunately, I haven't listened to that song, but I just wonder how you feel about that song now.
Oh, it gets more true every year. I wrote that song shortly after I turned 30, when I bent over to tie my shoes and I pulled a muscle in my back. And I was like, that's stupid. Like, of all the ways to injure yourself, that is one of the dumbest. And I just said, getting old sucks. And I'm like, oh, there's a song in that. And then we just went from there.
I have a similar injury. I pulled a groin muscle, and I mean, if you've ever pulled one, it hurts a lot. And I did it while making a slight right turn into a Kohl's department store, while walking. And it just suddenly hurt.
Funny music related. The Arrogant Worms have a phenomenal song about pulling your groin. It's called I Pulled My Groin. So look that up if you haven't heard it.
Look it up. You're also a member of a group called Cirque de So What, which I'm bringing up because I love the name. I love the name. Whoever came up with that, high five all around for that. That's amazing. Can you tell me a bit about that group and what you guys do, and well, why?
Yeah, so Cirque du So What is a sketch comedy group.
Okay.
It started as something that Shoebox of Worm Quartet wanted to do, because he had always wanted to get into sketch comedy. He reached out to Luke Ski, and the two of them worked on a sketch together, recorded it, and then at some point they invited me to join, because they thought I would be a good addition to the group. So then the three of us started working on sketches, and we wrote a whole bunch of sketches. We figured at some point we'll record them. And then at some point, like shortly before we decided to get together to record, we invited Chris Mazzalesta of Power Salad in, because he's a voice actor and he can do all these cool voices, and he's also, you know, a phenomenal musician, and like we could use someone of his talents in this group. And in 2010, the four of us got together and we recorded our first album, which was 5 years in the making, which is why the first album is called Procrastinators of the Apocalypse. And there is some damn funny stuff on that album, if I do say so myself. I am so proud of the Cirque du Soleil stuff. I mean, it's very.
And there are tracks for free on fump.com, correct?
There are some on the Fump. Those are the slightly more musical ones because we try to keep the Fump music oriented. So the tracks that either mention songs or have a song in them somehow, those are the ones we put up on the Fump. The rest of them are at cdsw.bandcamp.com, or if you just, nobody can spell Cirque du Soleil. So what we did was we registered baconnipples.com, and that redirects to our Bandcamp page.
I love you guys.
That was something that Luke Ski improvised while we were recording the album. We were like, go to cirquedusoleil.net for all that, and we realized like nobody can spell that, and Luke was like, or go to baconnipples.com, and I was like, I'm gonna register that and have it redirect, and I did. So
that was a brilliant move, actually, on all those parts. And Bacon Nipples is no doubt going to be worth $1 million in a couple of years. You know, the old domain.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So what do they call that? This is where I depend on Zaz to come in and correct me. Squatting. Yes, domain squatting. It's been a long time since we've had terms like that.
Sorry, I'm a bit delayed. I was looking up baconnipples.biz. So
you can have that one. I don't have any use for that one.
I want edu. I want the edu of that. I want to get into some of the stuff that you're doing now, and the other stuff like directing, acting, writing. But before I do, I love the fact that you are an actual nerd. It's not just nerdcore. I think that's the one thing that's awesome about that genre, because I don't want to put you in one genre. I think that's also silly a lot of the time. But with nerdcore, you kind of have to be genuine. You have to know what you're talking about, and you've done songs about Spider-Man, South Park, Doctor Who was a huge hit for you. You've done Star Trek.
Did a whole album
Marvel
about Doctor
Universe. Who. Yeah, whole album. What other nerd projects do you want to tackle? What things are you into now that you're also? Yeah, you mentioned earlier the Upside Down. What the heck is that? Stranger Things.
Stranger Things.
Yeah, I remember shows by something about them instead of like the Archie Bunker show. Is what I grew up with, but apparently it's called something else. The what other genres or sci-fi franchises do you want to take on someday, or are you working on? You just can't quite get it just yet, but you will.
Well, I have more Doctor Who songs in the works. I still need to do a Jodie Whittaker song. I need to do a Shooty Gatwa. I'm probably going to do a short song for the reprise of David Tennant. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do from there, but one of my favorite franchises that I have not written a song about yet for some reason is Nightmare on Elm Street, and I'm kind of surprised that I haven't. Although
I like that idea.
Yeah, I do a verse as Freddy on an upcoming song for somebody else, so that's a bit of a teaser. But I would love to do a Nightmare on Elm Street song. I did a Friday the 13th song a dozen years ago, parody of Friday by Rebecca Black.
Hey, she's apparently released an album, I think this year or last year, that's doing actually all right. I'm happy for her in that. Like, a lot of people don't get the chance to do that. I was wondering. I always had an idea for a Stargate song where it's just they just continuously go through the wormhole and continuously go through the wormhole and continuously go, like, just one of those things. Like, and then we go through the wormhole again, and then we go through the wormhole again.
Stargate is one of those shows that I watched a lot, but I don't know the lore well enough to do a song about it. The other shows would be Buffy the Vampire Slayer is one of my favorite shows of all time. I have not done a Buffy song. And now that the show is coming back, there's a good opportunity. Yeah. I probably should. And the other one is Farscape, but I would have to rewatch that entirely before I wrote anything, because
that's not a bad thing.
Holy crap, that show was not at all.
Yeah, like
Farscape is the only show I've ever experienced where it actually took effort to watch and it was worth it. You know.
I had to get around the whole Muppet thing at first. I'm like, I like Jim Henson's stuff, or his whole business, but I wasn't ready for Rigel to be a puppet. You know, like I wasn't. It took a while, and then once you get into it, and you, like it's the writing behind everything. It's the character and the character acting behind everything that I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah. I started watching Farscape at the worst possible time. I came in when Crichton had been split into two different people. And so at 1 week he's on one ship, and the next week he's on there's a different version of him on the other ship. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, did I miss an episode? Is this a rerun? And I'm looking it up in the listings. I'm like, no, these are new episodes and I'm watching them in order. What is happening? And it took me forever to figure it out.
Yes, and they did not go out of their way to explain it, except for I think when it initially happened, and then at the end, like, yeah, which is, I love that writing. I love like you got to work for this show.
Yeah,
yeah. So hey,
phenomenal
speaking of work, you are more than just a comedy music writer. You are more than just a writer. You direct.
I have a
recently
problem.
Done a short. Listen, creativity is an amazing thing.
I've done a few shorts.
Tell me about your shorts and what you're delving in on now.
Yeah, I have this kind of creative itch that whenever I see something really cool that somebody else has made, I want to have done that. So like,
fair.
That's how I got into rap. I heard that Grandmaster Flash song. That's how I taught myself how to draw. I went to school for illustration, you know. And one thing that I've always wanted to do my whole life was, you know, make my own movies. And 3 times, once in high school, once in college, and then once about 5 years after college, I tried to do it. And I actually started filming with my friends and stuff. And then all 3 times I got blown off by the lead actors and the project fell apart. And the mistake I made was I was my friends. I was not using actors. And the thing is, when you're hanging out with your friends who are not really the creative types, you know, they'll be like, yeah, it'd be cool to make a movie. Let's make a movie. When you start getting into it, they're like, wait a minute, I have to memorize lines. I have to show up at what time? We got to do, this is work, you know, and they didn't want to do it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so I don't know if your band experiences like that, but a lot of bands start like that. Hey, let's get together. Let's be in a band. And it's like, well, let's drink beer while we're together. And then it becomes, let's drink beer instead of work on it. And you got into the band for the wrong reason. Yeah.
So what happened was, right after lockdown, I got this itch in me to start making movies again. And I joined a local school in New Jersey, film school. I was like, all right, clearly I'm doing something wrong. I have to figure out what I'm doing wrong. And the main thing I learned from the New Jersey Film School wasn't the techniques or everything. There was some good stuff there, but I was not planning the project well enough. And that, you know, like I didn't have a shot list or anything like that. So that whole planning, and that makes sense because planning ahead is another thing that I suck at. Marketing and planning ahead are 2 things I am terrible at. So that was a big kind of eye-opening experience. So I took a whole bunch of classes at the New Jersey Film School, had a lot of fun, learned a lot, met some great people. And then one time they listed off all the classes they had coming up, and one of them was acting for filmmakers. And I was like, oh, I should probably take that. You know, I'm probably going to want to be in one of my films at some point. And at this point, I hadn't even made any shorts or anything. And I went to sign up for that class, and it was full. And I was like, oh, well, now I want to take an acting class. So I just Googled, and I found an acting class about a half in Rockaway, New Jersey. And I started taking classes with them and loved it, just fell in love with it. And after a few classes, you know, I made friends with a whole people and started thinking about making a movie. And the first one I did was when my son, my middle child, is a competitive swimmer. He's in college right now, swimming for the. And he was in high school at the time, and the New Jersey State Championships were taking place in Pennsylvania. I don't know why, but that's what happened. So I was like, all right, I'm going to be 4 or 5 days with nothing to do for a large time. I'm like, I can get caught up on all these projects I have to do for the Fump and my music. I can write another song and stuff. And my brain kind of went, no, you're going to make a movie. And I went, okay, I guess I'm going to make a movie. So I wrote a script that I could film in a cheap motel with just me, you know, one actor, one location. So the storyline is just a reluctant business traveler shows up at the last hotel room available in the city and gets haunted by the ghost who resides in that room. So I filmed it while I was there with the help of Jeff Whitmire, another Fump artist who happened to live like 10 minutes from where that hotel was. Jeff is also he does comedy songs, but his shtick is like parody songs about horror movies. So like that's his thing. So I texted him. I'm like, hey, you want to help me film a short horror film? And he was like, do I? And he showed up. So yeah. So I filmed it. And then in school, I went and in class the next week. I talked to one of my friends and I'm like, hey, I need a girl to play a ghost in a film. I know you have a green screen because I've seen her TikToks where she superimposes herself into scenes from Supernatural. Right. So it's like Sam and Dean say something and then she's there going, oh, and so I'm like, well, here's a girl with a green screen who knows how to use it. And she was like, yeah, I'd love to. So we shot her part over Zoom. She filmed it herself in her room and I directed her over Zoom. And it took probably like 2 or 3 hours of us, moving the camera and getting the shot set up and stuff. And the whole time I'm expecting her to go, I don't really want to do this. Like, can we let's not, like my other friends had done. But no, she's an actress. She wants to be an actress and she was all on board with this project. So that was my first short. It's called Room 259. It's available on Vimeo if you want to look it up. It's a short horror film. It's not great, but it exists. It was a good one to.
You started a project. You conceived of a project. You started the project.
Yes.
You finished a project. You put a project out there. Yes. It's great. Period. And anybody.
And after all the fall starts.
Yeah. Compare what.
And after all the fall starts with
compare it to what I've done. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like a monumental achievement just getting this short done because it was something I filmed. I wrote it, I directed it, I filmed it, and it's done. And I submitted it to film festivals and it got into a few.
Nice.
It didn't like tear up the film festival circuit, but it got into a few. And I got to go to these film festivals and see my movie projected with all these other ones. But what I realized was like there's a lot of people making really good horror movies right now. Not a lot of people making really good comedies. Or at least at the time. Now we got Naked Gun and Weird the Al Yankovic Story and some other good stuff. But, at the time there was like spoofs were still dead. We've still got more coming. But I was like, I'm going to focus on comedy. So the second short I did is, have you seen the horror film Talk to Me?
I have not. No. Zaz?
Yes.
Okay.
It's yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There's a cursed hand. You touch the hand and say talk to me and then a ghost appears in front of you. So I did a parody of that called Talk to the Hand, and that's also available on Vimeo. You can look that up.
Yeah, we're watching that.
And it's a short like 15-minute spoof comedy of Talk to the Hand, where instead of just summoning random ghosts, you're summoning dead celebrities. So you're the ghosts of dead celebrities. So that one came out great and also played a bunch of film festivals. And then the most recent one I did is called Sex Offender Counseling Class, where I learned that these were a real thing. And I was like, what the hell happens at a sex offender counseling class? And then my brain just started going. I'm like, I could do that. Oh, let's do that. And then a script came from there. So that was a really easy shoot because we shot that at the school where we take acting classes.
You could also put celebrities
so I just showed up
and one.
You could, yeah, absolutely. So that one's played in 2 festivals so far. I'm still shopping that one around. So that one it's out there. I can send you the link if you want to see it, but it's password
I would like to see it
because I'm still doing the festival circuit.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I can't let it out. I would like to see it. Of course, that sounds.
Sure.
We're gonna as soon as we're done here. I'm pretty sure at least 2 of us are gonna watch at least one of those. So,
I just want to say there needs to be. You remember how like movies used to come in packs of like 2 or 3 and be sold like as bulk? I think Talk to Me should be packed with Talk to the Hand because Talk to Me is absolutely fascinating. Everything about it, like the idea, the way it's shot, is gorgeous, and the sound. It is wildly depressing to the point where you're like, maybe I'm going to wait before I watch it again. If you put that with Talk to the Hand, I feel like that's just the perfect palate cleanser that after that movie, you're like, wow, I'm depressed. Hold on a second and put that in.
Yeah.
Sounds like
let me show you something.
I hope I didn't, but I didn't spoil. Okay, I was gonna say, I hope I didn't spoil it.
I don't think.
What
No,
are you
so this
talking
is-
about?
This is the hand prop that I made for Talk to the Hand, and you see I've got the Konami code on here. I've got the video game things there. What is that's what does that say?
It is indeed magical.
You have
says not for
Easter eggs.
rental
Your
use.
Easter eggs.
Yeah.
My
and
God.
then this is a map of the New York City subway. I forget exactly where. I've got one fingernail colored in, and then there's a
Pendulum.
there's a mustache tattoo on the finger there. So I added all these stupid little gags that like you'd never see in the film. You know, I tried to. Oh, there's a tic-tac-toe game going on.
Of course.
So
Of
you know,
course.
I tried to
Only-
make it as obvious as possible in the movie, but you can only pick up so much.
The tic-tac-toe game. Tell me it's an impossible variation. Like it's a move that can't happen.
No, it's just a regular tic-tac-toe.
That's my
but-
kind of Easter egg. Like somebody have to look at it and go, "You can't do that."
Oh yeah, and then they keep out of reach of children.
Of course. That
I
is
love it.
absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I would love to see that. Please.
And just think if they make a
We'll
sequel,
find
you
out.
have bookends. Sorry.
Yeah.
Once Upon a Crime. Can you tell me about that?
Once Upon a Crime. Oh. Okay. So I was in a short horror film called I Know It's Ben Crane, which is about an ibis, where this ghost comes back and just starts raping women. It's a really rough movie to watch. And I play a guy whose wife was killed by this ghost at some point earlier. I'm just acting in this film. I didn't write or direct it or anything. And this is a short that my acting teacher, Joshua Nelson, wrote and directed. And he also wrote and directed a couple others that are also like crime thriller horror type movies. And he's decided to put them all three of those together into an anthology film called Once Upon a Crime. Which is now available. Is it now available or soon to be available on Amazon and places like that?
I believe it's now available, but I didn't find a place to stream it, but I was looking it up and it says 2025. And I want to say last month.
Okay.
It came out.
Yeah.
I'm not positive.
I think it came out recently. They're good shorts. They are not for the faint of heart, but they are good shorts.
Yeah, we interviewed earlier this year the director of In a Violent Nature, and it's one of those movies like you're gonna love it if you like horror, but if you're a little squeamish, it's not for you. But yeah, I like a good horror, especially this time of year. It's a wonderful time for it. Have you before we get out of here? I just want to. Is there anything you want to promote upcoming? We're running out of time, and I don't want to keep you forever, and I could because I mean the video game collection behind you alone is another hour of conversation. But I want to make sure we promote what you have going on if you have anything going on. If not, it was just great talking to you.
This weekend, I'm going to be appearing at Con on the Cob in Richfield, Ohio, cononthecob.com for info about that. And the big thing I want to plug is the Dr. Demento tribute album, Fruits of the Smogberry Trees, that I put together with various members of the FUMP. This is a 2 CD set of songs about in tribute to Dr. Demento and covers of his most popular songs. So we have a cover of Dead Puppies, we have a cover of Shaving Cream, cover of Fish Heads, all the Cockroach That Ate Cincinnati, all the classics.
So that's something I was curious. Did you ever get to meet any of these old Dr. Demento stalwarts like Bill Mooney or the people that wrote these songs?
Yeah, I've never met Bill Mooney. I missed him actually because when I was a kid, my favorite sci-fi convention was in Long Island called Icon, and he was a guest there one year that I couldn't make it, and I just didn't know he was there. I didn't know who he was, but my father came home from the convention, and I had come home from college, and I missed the convention, but he goes, "Hey Tom, I went to the cabaret, and I got to sing Fish Heads." I went, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, the guy who wrote Fish Heads was at the cabaret." And I was like, "What?" So yeah, no, I haven't met him, but I did at FumpFest in 2023. We had Ogden Edsel as our guest of honor. So Bill Frenzer and Bill, I forgot the other Bill's name. Crap, the other Bill, the two Bills from Ogden Edsel were there, and they put on a great show. Yeah, they put on a great show.
Does Julie Brown still get involved in any of this? She was one of my all-time favorites in the late 80s. And then,
I actually tried booking her for FumpFest one year, and the response I got back from her manager was no thank you. And I was like, is this because I don't have enough money or because she didn't seem interested? And he was like, yeah, she just didn't seem interested. So I was like, okay.
I believe she's moved on. I actually went out and bought her EP on cassette. It has like a 5 song. It had a couple songs that were not on her later Earth Girls Are Easy full CD. And I was that early of a fan, and I went out and I had like child money to buy an album, and I had like all the world to pick from, and I picked her. So it was like always been one of those, like, that's how much I was into Dr. Demento and the music of that time. Like I would pick that over, like Quiet Riot or whatever band I was into at the time. Like, I'm going comedy.
Yeah,
this is even better.
My big hunt for when I was getting into the music was trying to get all of Alan Sherman's albums and all of Tom Lehrer's albums. Like those were the big holy grails for me. And I did eventually get them all. Many were damaged in a flood, unfortunately, but I still have them.
Hey, I'm one of those people also, if I have something damaged or stolen or whatever, I immediately just start that quest again. I'm like, the world is not taking this from me. I did it once, I'll do it again. And I actually, speaking of the video game collection, do you have any largely complete video game collections? I'm going to totally off the cuff that one for you.
No, I don't collect them for the sake of collecting them type thing. I buy them to play them, and then I don't get rid of them.
All right, I'll do a hot take for you, and we'll say goodnight. Be sure to visit Tom's website, follow him on Instagram, support his live works, and if you get a chance to see him live, do it. Absolutely do it. And if you don't believe me, go watch the video on his YouTube channel. I forget the full title of the thing. You'll find it. It's a live show. It's an hour and a half at least, I think, long, maybe 2.
It's like I think it's like a 3-hour video because it's the entire night. Yeah,
it's sort by length. You'll find the right video. You want to see Devo Spice live. You want to meet Tom. Tom, thank you very much. And my hot take question for you before we get out of here: Virtual Boy, good game system or not?
I see. I'm kicking myself because I didn't buy it when it came out, and like I didn't buy it because I didn't think it was going to be any fun. I tried it in store and stuff, and then like they discontinued it, and I was at Toys R Us one day and they were selling the system with all 14 games, and I was like, I'll get it next time, and I never got it. So I'm still kind of kicking myself for not getting that because that would have been my one complete video game system. But I didn't play it enough to say if it was good or bad, but I'm curious to see what the Switch the peripheral that they're coming out with is.
It'll be way better. It'll be way better. It was actually, I call it a win. I'm glad it lived as long as it did and then died because there's not a lot. It had moving parts, like a spinning mirror in it. So like if it had serious use for a long time, I'm pretty sure mine upstairs still works, but it was a fun system and it tried to do something neat. And I always, I don't know, I like bringing it up because to me, that was a great piece. I got it for $45 at a Kmart store. Nice. Whenever they were getting rid of all of them, and I'm like, I have to buy this now, and I kept it forever. And then I went and I bought games like fun. There's a lot of Japanese releases that you would have to search for the complete collection. My closest collection was in television, actually. For whatever reason, those cartridges were much easier for me to find where I am. So I built that up, and eventually. Anyway, hey, I want to thank you for being here. We got off topic, and that's what we do because we're actual nerds.
That's what I do,
And I want to thank you so much for being here. It's been great meeting you. You've taken me down memory lane. I can't wait to see your acting stuff and what you're up to now, along with all of I think you had 88 songs on the Fump.com, along with your prolific music career.
Something like that, yeah.
It's a lot, and it's impressive. Like,
did you count all the sudden death ones too?
I didn't. I just counted what was under your name.
Okay, there's a whole bunch.
It was a rough.
There's like another 20 or 30 under sudden death.
Yeah.
So.
Like as you keep doing stuff, you get better and better. And anybody who's put that kind of work and time into what they love, you can tell this is a love. This is something that matters. It's quality. So go out and support Devo Spice here. And thank you, Tom, for being here. I had a blast.
Thanks so much
meeting
for having me. This was great.
Thank you so much. I hope you have a fantastic night. Everybody else out there, we have some interviews coming up. It's coming up soon. We have, I don't know what, Josh, if you have any slides prepared next week. Is it Bill Slevin? I will throw this
next week. Yep.
Bill Slevin is next week. He is our resident ghost hunter. You've seen him on all the TV shows. He'll be talking to us about his latest happenings, hauntings, and ways you can get involved. That's what we have going on. Everybody be safe out there. Have a great night. See ya.